Now, to one of our talking points of the day, the PDP in Osun State, where a narrow defeat in 2018 proved to be a rather big political blow, made all the more painful because the PDP had in fact won in the first round before losing by a knife-edge margin to the APC in the rerun. After so many gloomy years in the wilderness following that 2018 electoral disaster in Osun State and the loss of the presidential election the following year, PDP members have been trying to wrap their heads around what's happened to them and their party. They've shifted from celebrations between 1999 and 2015 to despair subsequently, and now glib assurances that fortunes may turn in their favor soon enough. But what happens if the Osun Prize eludes the party once again? Where would the PDP go from here as it ranges against the enormous resources and power of incumbency of the APC and the populist movement of its former leading member, Peter Obi, who seems to be sweeping up a heck of a lot of people? Well, for more on this, let's cross live, to the Osun State capital. We'll do that later on and speak to the Executive Director of Yaga Africa, Samsoni Toda. But first, with me here in the studio is Kola Ologbondiyan, who, as you all know, was the former spokesperson for the PDP and is still a member of the National Executive Committee of the party. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Great to see you again.
It's been a while.
Yes, it's been a while.
Back to our world here.
I like that. You say it as though there's something bad with this world. Is there?
It's okay.
Because if there is, I mean, you would have to bring in the political parties as being part of the reason why it's the way it is.
Well, we are contending with the situation. Let me leave it at that.
Right.
And
okay.
I believe that at the end of the tunnel, we'll see the bright light.
Right. Let's talk about the possibility of bright lights. How do you see Osun State going?
Well, I believe that with what I saw today, what we witnessed today, the massive number of party leaders that attended the mega rally in Osogbo today, and with a lot of work that the leaders of the People's Democratic Party has put into Osun in the last 48 hours, I am confident that there's victory for the People's Democratic Party.
Nevertheless, you've got big issues, haven't you? There is the divisive Wike issue. There seems to be some very high emotions around that, with some members of the PDP calling for the resignation of the party chairman, Iyochie Ayu.
Well, just let me tell you something. The politics in Osun is local to Osun State. And I believe that virtually nearly every of our governors participated in one way or the other in Osun, whether they were physically present there or not. But having said that, you spoke towards agitations for the resignation of the national chairman. Just what is politics if you don't have agitations? What is politics if you don't have conflicts? What is politics if interests don't contest against each other?
And what is winning if you're not a unified party?
No. Unifying the party is another issue entirely. And I believe that the leadership of the party, the stakeholders of the party, are working assiduously to ensure that we go even into the Saturday's election as a united body.
Right. Okay. Let's talk specifically about Osun State. Has the PDP been able to define what went wrong for the party in that state in 2018 and how to fix that?
I just told you that in the last 48 hours, that leaders like former Senate President Bukola Saraki, Governor of Sokoto State Tambuwal, Governor of Delta State Okowa, they've all been around Osun State and ensuring reconciliation of the tendencies that exist in the party. And that is why today, the former state chairman on both sides, Sunday Kisi, Adagun Odo, the two of them were at the rally. And if you push further, the former governor of Osun State, Governor Olagunsoye Oyinlola, was physically present at the rally. And with what we witnessed at that rally, and with the feelers that we are getting, based on the reconciliations that had been held, and it's clear that the party is going to the election as a united group. And
You know why these things are important, obviously, is because there are a lot of people, millions of people in Nigeria, who simply want good governance in this country. I mean, they're not interested in anything else. And they look at the options available to them. They look at, you know, the governing APC party. They look at the main opposition PDP. They look at the Labour Party, which is rallying a lot of support at the moment. They look at the other parties as well, the SDP, the NNPP, and so on and so forth. People simply want good governance, not the squabbles within parties, not the personalities jockeying for position. They're sick and tired of all of that. I mean, is that point being made in the PDP?
It's certainly being made. The People's Democratic Party is very, very, very concerned about what Nigerians have suffered in the last 7 years. The leaders of the People's Democratic Party are very concerned, and they are of great hopes that they are going to end the burden which APC has become to Nigerians.
That sounds like a campaign, just like, I mean, we're not in the campaign season yet.
I'm not campaigning.
I mean, if Atiku wins, give us an idea of how Nigeria might change under him.
Oh, that's great. I have to give you a background of who Atiku, the personality of Atiku. Atiku retired in the custom as a paramilitary. He had covered the borders of our nation. And he was vice president, during which he was particular about ensuring that we don't have bandits and invaders coming into the country. And in 2019, when he campaigned, he said if he's given the opportunity, and we're not as divided, and we're not suffering as much pains and pangs from invaders as at 2019, but he said he was going to introduce technological coverage of our borderlines. And he has not shifted from that position. Atiku is perceived as a unifier. He is, as a matter of fact, a unifier. He is one presidential candidate that you can find today, and you will find all shades of people, including various tribes, various religions around him. And if you look at the personality of Okowa that he has brought as his vice president, he's been chairman of a local government, he's been secretary of government, he's been able to unite a multicultural people of Delta State. So when you have this set of gentlemen aspiring to be president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you do not have a choice than to align with them and to make them succeed.
Right. I'm very keen to know what significant changes are going to happen if he does become, if he wins. Because let me just give you one example. He talked a lot about restructuring. He had made, that some years ago one of his cardinal promises. Most analysts agree that restructuring would be the start of a new dawn in Nigeria, a sort of Magna Carta which will accelerate development. Mr. Abubakar even came up with his own manifesto on restructuring. I still have it in my briefcase. But then come 2019 elections, and it just vanished from his utterances. I mean, where does he stand on that issue now going into 2023, and where does the PDP stand?
Well, first and foremost, I believe that the campaign, part of the campaign of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar in 2019 was a restructuring that would start with devolution of power. He was very certain about that, and we campaigned vigorously on the basis of that in the year 2019. And even as we speak today, he has not departed from that route, that if he's made the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it will ensure devolution of power from the center to the other arms, to the other facets of governance. So, to me, that is one side. And you also must not forget that Atiku Abubakar was inclined to private-public partnership. He was inclined towards ensuring that it's only the private people that can make a difference. The essence of governance is to create an enabling environment that will make private enterprises to thrive. When he said that, you said this is not a time for campaign, but I have to quickly bring this in. When he said that, the APC came up with a campaign that was trying to sell the NNPC to his friends. What has happened thereafter? And even they do not even understand, because they don't even understand governance. They don't even understand that. This is the approach that Atiku canvassed. So the only candidate that I can see and this is personal to me, and I have a right to my own opinion, that I can see within the political hemisphere in whom Nigeria will be unified, in whom Nigeria will be better developed, and who is coming with strong experience. Because we must understand that in 2023, it is not a process of learning curve. Whoever is coming into governance in Nigeria in 2023 should be able to start.
Right. But describe for us the political context in which the vote for Atiku took place in the PDP, because you're talking about him as a unifier, but it actually forced Peter Obi to leave the party and has now to some extent alienated Governor Wike as well.
I don't agree with that assertion. I completely disagree with it. And I say so, Charles, because from the optics that I have seen and from what I can find around in the case of Governor Peter Obi, I think the disagreement of Peter Obi was not with Atiku Abubakar. It was something that had to do with the party and the use and deployment of the structure of the party. And I will not want to go beyond this, but that's the understanding that I have on Peter Obi. So it wasn't as if he had any issue, to the best of my knowledge, with Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the Waziri Adamawa. On the issue of Governor Wike,
it had nothing to do with the fact that he wanted the presidency to be zoned to a particular part of the country.
Atiku Abubakar?
Well, no, Peter Obi.
Peter
and
Obi,
basically, Atiku wanted to be able to have the opportunity to run again.
Given the optics available within the party, it had nothing to do. Because you will recall that the Waziri Adamawa, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, did say at a point that if the party zoned the presidency to the southeast, it will not run. He made that public. He said it publicly. He said so. It's on record. So I don't want to go into the issue of Peter Obi and Atiku because these are personal friends. These are people who have personal relationships. Right. And I would not want to be seen as somebody who is dabbling. I don't want to do that. On Governor Wike, it was the process of the party. You will recall, I believe we were still in Nigeria, when the Bala committee was set up to go and look into the reasons behind the failure of the party in 2019. And I think I came to your program and we did talk about it. And thereafter, Bala Mohammed committee came up with a report and said the party to win should either zone the presidency to the northeast or should zone to the southeast. In the absence of the two, they should go by merit. How do they go by merit? They should declare the presidential race open. And the IU leadership came and put that report aside, constituted another committee to go into zoning properly. And that committee was chaired by the Benue State Governor, Samuel Otom, His Excellency. And they came back with a report. And I want you to understand, Charles, that this Otom's committee had 37 members, one representing each state of the Federation, including the FCT. It made 37. They went to work, came back with a report, signed by 36 out of 37 states, and saying that the party should declare the presidency open. The report was brought to the National Executive Committee. It was discussed and deliberated upon, and a decision was taken, which was largely unanimous, that it should be declared open. And they went to the National Stadium, and they had a convention. A candidate emerged.
Right. And so, of course, that candidate, an older man, such as Atiku, still dominating the political landscape in the PDP. In fact, older men dominating both the PDP and the APC in Nigeria. Yet those politicians and their parties, the PDP included, need to target the youth vote. Wouldn't it be more efficient and strategic to do so with a younger candidate?
I find the concept, the perception, bordering on age, older man. I find it amusing. What is the age of the President of the United States of America?
Well, that's not we're not talking about the United States of America. We're talking about Nigeria.
Charles, that is where we land democracy. That's where we do democracy.
We're talking about a country.
That is where we do democracy.
Yeah, but we're talking about a country that has had younger candidates, younger presidents as well.
Just having said that, like I said, the party declared the process open. Contestations were allowed. People who were young came out to feature. People who were old came out to feature. At the end of the day, the party took a decision and voted in one line. And the line to which they voted is Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. And you should understand, Charles, and I know you do. The decision of the party at every point in time is supreme. Members are expected to accept. That's all I have to say.
Of course, which is out there is how those decisions are arrived at, because then it raises other questions, which unfortunately I don't have time to get into now. But I want to say,
you can always come back for it.
I would love to have you back.
If it has to do with the People's Democratic Party, I am never afraid.
Yes,
to address the issues.
You were their spokesman, and you're clearly a very vocal one at that. I want to thank you very much indeed, Kola Ologbondiyan, former spokesman of the PDP and current member of the party's National Executive Committee.